guys, so today I wanted to talk to you about my secret, my story of how I quit cheese. And yes, you heard that right. I quit cheese. I no longer eat cheese. I haven't eaten cheese in 1.5 years, and I'm still alive to tell the tale. Still going strong. I found the will to live regardless, which I honestly didn't think I would. I thought that'd be the end. My dogs are fighting behind me. And by fighting, I mean play fighting, and by behind me, I mean in front of me. Can you guys not? Can you go in the other room? Well, they listened. Bye. Bye, ladies. If you don't already know, I'm vegan. I've been vegan since September 2015. Amen. Before that, I was probably one of the world's largest consumers of dairy, in particular cheese. I was such a dairy-aholic that I was that little kid at restaurants up until I went vegan that all I would order was a grilled cheese, because that's all I wanted. Or mac and cheese. Or pizza. Mostly just a grilled cheese though. That's all I wanted, was just melted cheese. Up until I went vegan. I ate cheese almost every day of my life, I'm pretty sure. Probably one of my favorite things in life was cheese. And if you ever followed me on Twitter, it was probably like one of the main things I ever talked about was cheese. It was to that point. And before I went vegan, I thought I was a pretty good cook. I honestly did, which is such a joke now if I think about it, because all I would ever make would be mac and cheese or grilled cheese. I was the biggest fan of cheese. Even when I was a healthy eater, I still would not cut out cheese because I couldn't bring myself to. And guess what? Dairy is addictive. It's scientifically proven to be addictive. Hence why I was such a dairy-aholic and cheese-aholic. This is a story for another time, but when I was 19 or 20, I almost went vegan. I was really close to going vegan, but I was not educated enough to fully go vegan or understand why one should fully go vegan. But one of the things I did start doing was getting dairy alternatives. I got back then, which really started influencing my life, was I started getting non-dairy products, as in non-dairy yogurt and non-dairy milks. And that's, I think, the point where I stopped drinking regular milk and I drink non-dairy milk from then on, in my coffee, in my cereal, so forth. So that has been the steady since. So I had that covered. I had that part of the dairy covered. Eggs, I could go with or without. Wasn't gonna kill me to not eat eggs. But cheese was the thing. Literally for years since then that I could not quit. I could not quit it. And that was my #1 excuse for all these years when I started to think about veganism and people asked me, I'm like, I would go vegan, but I cannot live without cheese. I just can't. That's one thing I can't live without. I can't do it. I need cheese in my life. And back then there weren't a lot of cheese alternatives, and there still aren't. To be quite honest, I would like to see more, especially living in New Hampshire. You don't see a lot of them. But the summer of 2015, in that August, I decided that I wanted to turn vegan, and it was just time. And it was something that I talked about for years, and I wanted to do it for a long time, and I was just gonna do it because life is short, and I just wanted to start and just try it and see what happens. And see if I could really live without cheese. And that was honestly probably one of my factors in deciding to go vegan, was that I was such a cheese dependent. I've never been a huge junk food person. I have gone through stages where I've eaten more junk food than other stages in my life, but it's never been an everyday necessity to have junk food. And cheese was one of those things that I'm like, if I could just go without eating cheese, I would be so much healthier, because it's one thing that I have to eat every single day. And what would happen if I stopped eating cheese? How amazing would that be to say that you're vegan and to just have to stop eating cheese and see what that's like. And honestly, around that time is when I started to do a lot of research into the dairy industry and how poorly animals are treated in the dairy industry, and in general, just the fact that they're used for a purpose that's not necessary to humans because vegans are still alive and doing fine and they don't need dairy is reason enough to stop consuming dairy if it's an unnecessary product. And I'm not gonna go really into the ethics behind dairy in this video. There are plenty of channels that do an amazing job explaining the ethics of veganism, so go check out one of those. This is probably not the best place for that because I'm terrible at explaining things. But anyway, after doing a ton of research into the ethics and just the facts about the dairy industry and knowing that it's completely unnecessary to support the dairy industry, and when you buy anything, you're supporting that company, that industry. It's just how it works. Supply and demand. When you buy cheese, you're supporting the dairy industry. You're giving demand for another cow to get artificially inseminated in order to get pregnant, in order to have a baby, in order to produce milk that they're gonna then take and then take away the baby because the baby can't have the milk, so they rip a baby away from its mother. Veal industry, cow goes to the meat industry, and I was vegetarian at the time, so why am I supporting an industry that supports the veal, the meat industry, the beef industry, any of that? It didn't make sense after a while. Oh, I just got so riled up, getting heated and upset just talking about the dairy industry. So I decided, that's it, I'm quitting cheese starting in a week. That's what I decided. I'm not gonna lie. I just said I'm gonna have another week because I went on a trip. Yes, that's right. I went on a trip and I'm like, I'm not gonna be vegan for this new trip I'm going on because it sounds like a total nightmare because I didn't even know really what different things to eat. So I was like, after my trip, I'm gonna be vegan. And since doing the research into the dairy industry, I did eat dairy on that trip, but honestly, and I'm not even saying that because now I'm vegan, but just knowing the ethics behind that and what that dairy represented, it was so gross to me. Like, I remember my last cheese covered pizza, it wasn't even good because I knew what that represented, and it was just like so sad and unnecessary to me. And I know the ethics is not how a lot of people go vegan, but that was really like the final straw for me. So the real secret of how I quit cheese was, are you ready for it? I stopped eating it. Yeah, I know. I stopped. For lack of a better non-vegan term, I quit cheese cold turkey. Because that was pretty much the leading non-vegan thing that I was eating, because I was already vegetarian, already didn't really like eggs, so that was the last thing I stopped eating. And just with that, and because dairy is addictive and not having it in your system and you crave what you eat, so I was craving dairy, it was like literally a week and a half of being like, I don't feel good, this is not fun, and also not really knowing other things to cook because, like I previously said, the things I cooked all had cheese in it, so I had to think of other things to make. So I was discovering how to do that. But after a week and a half, I literally felt like a buzz of feeling great, and I haven't stopped feeling like that since being vegan. And that goes along with quitting any bad habit or just starting any new routine or like working out. It sucks for a couple weeks and then it just becomes your normal, and before you know it, you just have to get through like the first bit of it, then you're usually fine. So that's the secret. So just do it. If you want to change something in your life, just do it. And cheese, without a doubt, was like the fattiest, cholesterol-ridden, disgusting thing that I ate, sodium-filled. So not having cheese, I felt so much lighter and better and just amazing. If you're not even vegan, even though I think you should go vegan, but if you're not vegan, try quitting cheese because it'll make such a difference in your life. I honestly did that whole transition without cheese alternatives, but my favorite cheese alternative, I know this is not the best one out there, but I live in New Hampshire. The Dia mozzarella shredded cheese. This is the easiest for me to find. It doesn't melt as well as regular cheese, not gonna lie, but this is very good. If I ever want a little extra fat on my food or just don't want to be bad that day, I'll put it a little on my food. But I could go without that forever and I'd be fine. If you live in a more suburban, urban area, there's a lot more cheese alternatives out there. Especially if you live near like a Whole Foods or something. I've tried a lot of crappy vegan cheese. They're not all good, but it's such an unnecessary thing. And even eating this, because I know there's 6 grams of fat, that's not that bad, but even eating this does not make me feel my best, so I usually would rather go without it. So pizza without cheese on it, I've learned to just love, because you can eat more of it and it doesn't make you feel disgusting the next day or after. You don't feel like heavy and bloated and disgusting, and it's just so much better. And this is coming from me, the world's biggest cheeseaholic. Probably my reason for getting up in the morning was knowing that I could have grilled cheese for lunch. It's possible, people. It's possible to change things and to change major things about your life and to be better from it. That is it. That is just my quick story, my how-to on how to quit cheese. Just stop eating it, honestly. There's only good things that'll happen if you stop eating dairy in general. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Give me a like, dislike, whatever. All my social media links will be in the description as always. And I'll see you guys in a later video. Bye! I'm probably just gonna blend right into this red chair background. Whoops.